Okay, so what are we doing? Like, what is this weekly call that we've been doing? Well, it's the code review, and so every single week we are reviewing a project live, and generally we may not necessarily know anything about that project beforehand. Maybe we have like a broad idea, but the reality is, more than likely, majority of the time, we're probably not even seeing the code. But our goal is to kind of just go through some of the PRs, go through some of the code itself, get reviews, and we generally try to get people that worked on that project to be on the live stream with us. And so this week, number one, by popular request, was actually one of these parts. But the second part is um, we're going to be reviewing my team's cohort project. And so I see somebody from my cohort. Actually, I see two people from my team here today. And so if one of them or both of them want to come up, more than happy to do so. You can request to speak. We'll bring you up. But we're going to be reviewing the code from that project. And so we'll review quite a few things, right? And so there's going to be some good things, some bad things, some ugly things, and some amazing things. But we're going to comment on it in a very specific way. The idea here is that when we do these comments or we do these code reviews, it's never with the intent of like demeaning or demoralizing, but the idea is you are not your code. It's something that you can use and create things with now, with the skill set that you have, right? So the only way that we're going to go ahead and improve that is by pointing things out. And so I know, at least on my team, I was pretty strict on a lot of the code reviews. Some things definitely got by, maybe because of time or whatever it may be. So always a good thing to kind of point those out. Wait, all the code is perfect except the bits down. Yep. If I'm going to go ahead and invite two of the people from my team that I see, at least. You don't have to accept if you don't want to, but regardless, would be great to have you. And I will come in here because what's funny is I literally wiped my entire computer and did a fresh reinstall, so I have nothing of that project even on. Oh, I almost gave the wrong repo. Whoop. I have nothing of
That's
that project on my thing. So I will
Danny's
share.
secret to code is you can't have bugs if you don't have any code.
Yep. Well, you know what it is? My computer was going slow one day, and I got irritated because I'm like, man, we built this computer from scratch, spent thousands on it. And then someone said, every year I reformat mine and reinstall Windows and everything. And I was like, let's give that a shot. They were right. It feels as fast as it was when I bought it, the day I bought it. So definitely a good fix in that regard. We're first reviewing cohort projects. Yes. I see Andrew. Andrew, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing well. I was gonna say, do you want to do like a very quick ad hoc like presentation of like what the project was?
Oh,
you still have it locally?
I do.
If you want to spin it up,
I can do that.
yeah, you could share your screen and go ahead and like show everybody what it is that the project was, so they have a fresh reminder as we go over what's in here. Don't obviously take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but like a couple minutes going through some of the stuff that you were really proud of and liked and all the good stuff, and maybe even talking about some of the things that you were part of. And in the meantime, I'm also going to get this code open on my side.
Having a little trouble sharing my screen. Danny, when you do get the code, would you mind approving my pull request I made 3 minutes ago?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna be real. I'm not even gonna look at it. I'm gonna trust you. The hope here is that you tested this and it's squashed.
All right, let's see if this works.
All right, so let's go ahead. There is the screen. Let me make sure. Yeah, we have everything visible there. Okay.
And here is. Oops. Here is our app. We see the browser.
Yep.
Okay, so this is our tenant portal solution. Here's our home page right here. Hero landing, some overview of what the app is about, and a contact form here at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and log in as a user we already have. Overview of what the app is about, and a contact form here at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and log in as a user we already have. Overview of what the app is about, and this takes us to our dashboard here. We have a header at the top with some features, but the main dashboard buttons right here can take us to various things like our lease, guest parking, messages, door lock, reporting and noise complaint packages, package lockers. We got the log out button up here. This is our dashboard button from when we're away from the dashboard. We can just click on one of these. We'll see view lease here. And once this loads up, we'll see skeleton go away and I think oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, and so we see our lease right here. See, we can see it's pending. This can change depending on what the admin is working with on the back end. There's a door lock here. Sorry, taking a while. I think Discord's eating up a lot of resources.
Could be. I was gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and pull this locally anyway.
And so from here we can unlock our door, lock our door. We can generate a guest key. It's generating. It's just. This is why I didn't want to.
Well, you know what?
Presentation at the end of cohort.
I was gonna say, you know what though? I just pulled it locally. Let me install it real fast, and I can probably go through the demo.
Okay.
Let me see here. The terminal.
You see here though the temporary pass key that we can share with our guests. Messages. See if that.
I just realized. Hold on 1 second. Stream. Let me look here. I'm also wondering. All right, and then let me go ahead and create.
You want me to keep going, or should I stop sharing?
Yeah, if you can real fast, just to verify, can you DM me the .env file? I'm pretty confident I have the right one, but I'm not necessarily sure. So just to verify in that regard. And so, let me now look here. I'm looking now. Looking nice like the UI. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The team worked really hard on this one. And so I believe I do have the correct .env file. But regardless, let's digress and let's now see this. Send the .env file here, simpler. Yeah, I like that idea. Okay, these are the only things I was missing. And so let me now share my screen now that I know we are on the same page. Actually, let me restart this terminal with the new file. All right. And so we have this one, and then we have this one. Pop, pop. All right. Let's share my screen real fast. Let's go back to the stage. Yeah, pop in your API key for good measure. Hey, didn't I give a talk about not showing your API key? I feel like I gave a whole talk on this. Okay. All right. So we should be sharing in that regard. Let me check the stream real fast. Make sure the stream is seeing exactly what I want them to see. Too many windows open at the same time now. Okay, very good. All right. So I'm back here now. Okay. So this is the UI. One is an incognito, one is in regular. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to log in to the accounts, and I'm trying to remember all of the account names. I believe that's it. Oh, is it Danny Test 9?
I think Tatiana had to change them. I can send you.
Nah, that one worked. And
okay.
All right. So as you can see here, we have two different views. One is the admin view, one is the resident view. So in the regards to the lease, for example, if we have our regular lease view here, and then we can go back here in the admin side, we could see how we would generate leases, something. We can't. All right. So something didn't obviously translate over from the install. We have multiple issues now. App write exceptions, etc. I don't know what's going on with that. I just freshly installed it, so there could be something there. We have our guest parking view. So, for example, we could have somebody, let's say last name is Thompson. It's going to verify, generally speaking, with the resident number. So we could have them 203. We can have a Nissan. We can have it Sentra. We can have it Sentra 1, Sentra. We can have it as black. And we have the license plate as boom. You can request a pass, network error. Nothing is going to work because there's something missing. Let me look back at yours to verify. And then let me look at this code, bring this over. Let me verify this .env one more time. Oh, I know what it is. Let me do a Prisma client real fast. npx generate. Let's see. And let me look here. Yeah, it's not the login. This has everything to do with the trying to move everything over. Actually, you know what I could do? CD 10. Okay, let's see now if this works. All right, npm run dev. Oh, what? 2 words. All right, let's see if this works now. If this doesn't work, we're just going to make it do whatever we can, given what we have. Democrat. Honestly, it's not even Democrat. I just got back from my kid's birthday and ran here with 3 minutes, and I didn't have the project locally. So I was hoping we'd be able to demo, but let's see now. Yeah. All right. So regardless, I guess we can't even pull messaging based on that. Oh, there's a deployed version apparently. Oh, did we get fancy? I did not know somebody deployed this already. So with this deployed version, like what logins am I using, Tatiana? Or is it what Andrew you just sent me?
Those were the ones I was just using to clean up stuff.
Let's see. Oh. Let's go. These works. You are muted. Are you on stage? No. Oh, you're in the audience. All right. We have some stuff working. Okay, this is really cool, actually. I did not know we had a deployed version, so I'm geeking out a little bit about this. Kudos to the team for deploying that. All right, so we have the generate leases, we have view leases, so we can view leases that are active here. And through this dashboard, we would see like whatever leases there are. So this one, for example, shows pending. I don't know if this one is attached to this one that we're seeing, so let's change it from pending status to active status. Now that it's an active status, if I refresh this, it still shows pending. So this is a different apartment or something. I don't know. So this is apartment 203. I don't know which login that would be. Regardless, theoretically, if everything was working properly, if this lease was here and you toggled it, it would turn this from a pending status to an active status. And in the active status, it would leash everything here. But I'm guessing this, whatever account I just logged into, has no attachment to these leases. So that's just like a little thing. Then we have the door locking system. So you theoretically, you'd be able to control the door lock of your home. So that way, if somebody was visiting or maybe you had people coming to repair something in the home, you could unlock it or lock it, but you could also generate a guest key and then you could give them that key code so that way they could type it in to enter your apartment as well. With that, we also have a smart package locking system. Essentially, the idea is when you get deliveries from Amazon or something like that, very privy to being stolen. So this system you could dynamically update. And the theory is if Amazon was delivering it at a smart locker, this would be attached to your apartment number. It'll automatically generate based on that. And so you can kind of view here. And here is the code to access that particular locker. And once the code is accessed, it would change us from a pickup status to a now confirmed that you've already picked it up. For this apartment in particular, right now, it just shows that there's one package to be picked up. And of course, with guest parking, it will verify. So this account that we are currently in is apartment number 110. So we'll copy that. And oh, what's the tenant's last name? Because it's going to verify. So Anna is the last name. So ANA, apartment 110. We have a Nissan. We have a Sentra. We have it black. We have HTTP 102. You can request the pass here. And boom, we've got our pass. It's valid for 24 hours. It will be given that counter, but you're also given this code so that way you can enter the parking garage to get access to it, et cetera, et cetera. You can, of course, copy the code. You can save the pass by printing it out if you wanted to or things of that nature. But now if you go back to your dashboard, you will see the passes. I guess the pass that I just made shows expired for some reason. So there's some bug in that, but regardless, we don't have a lease created for that user. That is why the toggle won't work. Yep. Oh, I'm not going through all that. And then, of course, we have one-click noise complaints. So that way, let's say, hey, your neighbor is bothering you. Instead of you having to enter a lot of details, we now know that neighbor is somewhere next to apartment 110. And in real time, you can see that the noise complaint was logged. And so now apartment complex officials could be like, hey, let's go check out this noise complaint. Maybe we can go there and check it out, et cetera, and whatnot. And so then the last bit aspect was, and I think a lot of people love this, the conversational UI aspect of this website. So for those that haven't seen that before.
Hi, welcome to Tenant, a web portal for all your apartment needs. How can I help you today?
Yeah, I need to get a guest pass for my guest that is visiting, and I'm very frustrated and can't figure out how can I get a guest pass for them.
I understand you're frustrated about getting a guest pass. Unfortunately, I'm not able to directly help with that. However, you should be able to find what you're looking for on the dashboard or in the navigation header at the top of the page. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Nope, that's everything. Thank you.
Happy I could point you in the right direction. Have a wonderful day.
And bam. And the biggest thing that I liked about this was keeping it almost text message like looking, so that way you can always just scroll back through the messages if you ever need to for whatever reason. We put a lot of good work into this. I feel like the design is pretty good for the time frame of everything. I think a lot came through together. What am I missing? Is there something else? Oh, of course, messaging. So like you have messages from back and forth. So like these are noise complaints. This particular apartment says you're wasting compute by saying, yes, I will continue wasting those resources if I'm being completely honest with you. I'm from I'm from the South. So, obviously Please and thank you are a big part of it. Did you integrate voice AI? Yes, it is conversational AI that is integrated, so that way you can kind of one of the amazing stats that we saw, and I realized that those online can't see me talking, but only here. But one of the stats that we found and saw was 50% of tenants end up leaving their apartments, not because of the rates or even annoying management, but it's because of the experience all around their apartment, so they find a new one. So one big obvious reason to that is not feeling heard when there's an issue. So the idea here is, how do you help that? So conversational AI is a great way to kind of solve that bottleneck. Let the tenant feel heard. If they feel heard and you acknowledge their pain point, guess what? You're probably going to have somebody stick around for a long period of time. And of course, the property owners and property management company will be only happier to have longer term tenants not trying to rent out the rooms again and going through all of that cost. And then, of course, from the property side, you can create a new tenant via that. So let's say they get approved or something along those lines, then you can go ahead and do that. And of course, you could always generate a new lease. And the idea here is, once you generate it, it will send it all this information to a third-party tool called Documento. Documento in real time will send that contract lease agreement to that tenant that you've deemed that is going to go into that apartment. Once they sign it, it does not automatically grant them access to the apartment or accepting of the lease. Someone in the apartment complex or organization, leasing management company, has to verbally say, hey, we're going to go ahead and accept this, because what if they sign it incorrectly? What if some information is missing? What if you end up realizing they are not verified as a tenant, et cetera, et cetera? So that is why we have that edge case there to ensure that if they are essentially being accepted, they've passed everything, and it's not like an automatic acceptance rate, because things can potentially go wrong. Okay. I like all this. So looks great, works great. Is it a Chat GPT API? OpenAI is one part of it. The other part is 11 Labs. And so 11 Labs gives you the ability to change the voices. So you can have multiple different voices, multitude of different options. You can have British voices, you have male voices, women voices, cartoonish voices, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can find one that solves your use case best. All right. And so now that we have this done, let's pull up some PRs and go over them. And imagine using 11 Labs. Hey, imagine using what we knew existed at that time. That's what it came down to the wire. Last several days, that's when we finally got it instituted, and we ended up doing it. So, by the way, this project, of course, is all open source. All of the DSD projects that we have done are available and open sourced. You can find this one, and of course, the top-notch team members that were all part of this. That tech lead, phenomenal face, phenomenal beard. Can't lie about that. But the documentation, of course, also has a great table of contents, so that way you can be able to follow everything in an organized way. So hopefully, it can kind of help you out and understand the flow of the project as well, so that way you can understand not just the databases and tables, but how everything else works. Obviously, by downloading this and not having our .env files, you're going to have to kind of make your own databases and things like that, but you would still be able to follow everything that's there. So yeah. All right. And then, of course, we have our structure on how you can do commits. I try to follow as strong of a corporate policy as possible, so that way, if anyone from my team works in an organization, they would be able to do that. So you can kind of see here some of the naming conventions. How does this look on the screen? Is it too small? It is too small. I forget that I have like a wide screen, so sometimes because of that should be easier to read. So we'd follow naming conventions, whether it's a fix, whether it's a chore, feature, et cetera, et cetera. Generally speaking, we try to adhere to that as strongly as possible, but things happen. I know I'm slightly biased. So, like, are there pull requests and PRs that you want to review, Dennis? Have you seen this?
Yeah, I'm actually I pulled it down just now, and I'm actually looking at a file. But before I look into that file, I want to go into that. Remind me, I remember you saying something about, like, as you were about to go live or at the end of the day was coming around, something happened where it ended up causing an infinite loop.
Yeah.
I want to touch on that code for a little bit.
You can.
Do you remember where that was? Can you kind of point that
Oh
out?
shit!
Figured out
Mm,
figured out what that happened there, and
I know exactly where it is
Okay.
there you go.
because I'm the one that caused it.
I wasn't gonna bust
If
them
you go
out.
No worries, no worries. If you go under the hooks, no,
What do you know? What? Yeah. What MR is it? Like if you go on the closed MRs. Eric from Eric. Let me hide this. Why does it keep? Amazing. Y'all are too kind in the comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm trying to look everywhere, but it's like I got so many things open on my screen. So maybe this is an excuse to buy another monitor. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you can go 3. You can get 3 monitors.
I forgot I could do this. Oh, but then if I'm reviewing a PR, oh, how do they see? Yeah, I can't do. Interesting. Oh, I know what I could do. I know what I could do. Because I want to have both of y'all. That's what I was trying to remember, to be honest. Hold on. Let's try this. Okay, we can fit everything on there now. Okay, and everybody can see this. And now let me switch this. Change stream. And now we will just show the pull request window. Okay, perfect. That should work for now on the stream as well. Wow, we got so many people on the stream. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. I did not pay attention and I apologize. Where is everybody coming in from? And all right, we got that love there. We got LinkedIn love. Okay, okay, okay. I did not realize. Cool stuff. Okay. You are on TV. Everybody be on the bestest behavior. All right. Did you find that PR?
No, I'm looking.
Well, here's the 26th. The 26th, I'm guessing that has to be
I think it's TP 131.
131.
I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I see 130.
Right below
131. Let's see.
I think.
I think you might be right. Is there a time on this?
I mean,
Does it say
within
like
the last 15
11:59?
yeah, it was all within that last 10, 15 minutes. Frame,
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't say the time.
That was
Because
the
that's
last
exactly when it
one,
went in,
right?
11:59, and I'm like, what? Well,
I think it is
131.
affecting the hooks. So I see the file that it's.
Yeah, I think you might be right. It
Okay.
looks like that's the last MR from Andrew as well, so that kind of
Yeah.
narrows that down before the cleanup. Yeah, so we're looking through 131. All right. And so, yeah, this one, the timing on this one was incredible because it was literally the very last minute. And we ended up finding something. And I remember I believe I committed a fix for it, but I just pushed it straight to main. So I didn't create an MR. And I think it took me 6 minutes to find that, but I don't remember what it was.
I remember, of course.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do.
Okay, where was it? Oh, within the hooks.
Yeah, so I was creating a notification context with a custom hook, and the getting notifications, refetching them was a function that was needed in both components, and so I sort of broadcast that out with the context, but because I didn't wrap it in the use callback, it was that's what was causing it was recreating the function, so it was that's what was causing the infinite loop. And so now it's wrapped in a use callback so that it doesn't recreate the function every time.
Let me see if I can zoom this out a little bit.
What file did you say that was on?
Use notifications.ts, I believe.
Yeah, there should be a hook.
Yeah, hook, source app hooks. Use notifications. Oh, I don't even see use notification anymore.
Yeah, I don't. The notification context is under context. Oh, and then you know what? The hook is the hook is in the notifications context file under
Context.
Source
Yeah,
app. You said where now?
There's a context folder.
Context.
Source context notification.
Oh, source. Context notification context.ts. Okay.
Yep, there it is.
And there's a use context. There's a console warning. And then with that warning, we are returning. And there's the provider. Ah, I see. And now I'm guessing I got to zoom this in for that. What did you feel like reviewing on this?
No, I was asking to see what the fix was. Like what
Oh,
fix did you
specifically?
put in? Why was it running away? And I think that was explained already.
Yeah.
Why was it running away? And how did you go about finding it and fixing it? Kind of
The finding it was a frantic run. And to be honest, majority of that night was a blur. Let me look back. I don't remember what the fix specifically was for that night, but I do see like here we did wrap it up in a use callback. I see. So we have our interface here. From our interface, we have our notification context. We have another interface. So then from here, we're setting notifications and we're using state for that. And then from there, we have our get notifications and we are using a callback wrapped around that. We have our try, which is setting loading to true. And we're checking if a user is admin or not because of the different flows. Based on that, we're waiting our fetch. Yeah, I think that's literally it, the use callback. If I'm not mistaken, that was the whole fix. I actually wonder if that was the hot fix that I made. Let's see here. It's so hard to do this with it zoomed in. I can't see nothing. Okay.
It is.
Let's see. I think these were the fixes. Use notification hook. And I'm pretty confident. Yeah. I was wrapping that use callback. Yeah. Dang, I can't believe that was the one thing that set off everything. Well, you live and you learn. I bet you won't ever
There you
forget
go.
that again. Yeah. Let's kind of go through some of the PRs. I will say I am pretty proud of a very strong portion of the code base on this one. Danny, I recommend you get Zoom It. What the hell is that?
There you go.
There I go. What?
I don't know what it is.
Oh yeah, I've never heard of that before. You could use that to zoom in to look at the screen while it's small. Oh, well, traditionally, the problem is I'm trying to show all of y'all on the stream, at the same time as trying to like share my screen for this thing. So it's a little challenging in that respect. Actually, I bet you time for a third monitor. Yep. Yeah, because otherwise the other thing that I could do is just hide all y'all from the stream and just have this code being the full screen. Then it'll work easily. But then I don't know if they will be able to hear the other speakers in that regard. But regardless, let's kind of go through some of this code, man. I feel like we've been here for a minute. Let's go through some of this. Matter of fact, I'll even go through some of the main files. Actually, I'll just pull it up
Right.
here. Oh, go ahead.
You want me to share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
So that way you can. Maybe that might help you out there.
Yeah, because then I can maximize everything.
Give me a second here. I'm gonna lose the chat though. That's fine.
Hey, I could read out chat. Oh, that was the wrong thing. There we go.
All right.
All right, so it looks like we're looking at 125. From 125.
So I was going through the PRs one by one, and this one kind of stuck out to me, mainly because we are using multiple use effects, and that's kind of a red flag to me already. As soon as I see that happening,
I can see that.
try to I open up the file, and I'm like, okay, what are we actually doing here? Why are we putting multiple effects on here? So here is I don't know if I need to blow this up here. Here's the code here for the page. And then we have 1, 2, 3 happening in this file. Oh, and one thing right quick, I wasn't sure if anyone noticed it, but I'm not sure why we're getting all these squigglies, but that kind of strikes me. I think it's something to do with the tsconfig setup. But other than that, did you know if button is never declared a type, that the automatic type declared for it is submit? So that way that the behavior by default is type submit. So if you put that anywhere, it's going to act like a submit button, which in most cases, we don't want that to happen, right? So it's always good to put a type button here just for to prevent that from happening, right? So looking back at the use effects here, let's see here. We have a use state here that's setting that. So this is setting admin to true. If user, we're setting admin. So one of the things I do here is kind of like, okay, we're only using this in 2 places and we're setting it right there. So essentially we're just wanting to know if this is an admin or not. And one way to find that out is we can set up a const is admin here, and then kind of similar to what we did before, create a IFI, if you will, immediately evoke function, and then kind of move that logic out of this query right here and avoiding this use effect. And we want to know this information on every render, so we can remove that state there and return true here if this is the case. Otherwise, we're going to return false, right?
Oh, I agree with that, because if you look through the code base, this file is the only one that does that. No other file in our code base uses a use effect for that. So this had to be passed through in those last scenarios, because as far as I know, no other part of the code base is using that within a use effect. There could be places that maybe we've missed, but this is like, as I'm looking through right now, like if I search the code base for set is admin, this is the only file that I see that at. So that one may have just slipped through. It could have been in that rush through, but yeah, generally speaking, we were either passing that value in through the value of is admin. We were passing it in through props from the parent components, where we have that check being done to see if it is an admin or not.
Oh, and you're saying that this could have slipped through the cracks?
Yeah, I think probably in that last ditch run, I think that may have went through, because otherwise this would have been caught. But you're completely 1000% right. There's no reason why we should use a use effect to find out if something is if a user is an admin, because by the time they're on the page, it's a one-time check and you'd never check it again.
And then here we are using two use effects, but one is used for, this is interesting. One is used for the actual context to kind of grab information from the overall context that's wrapped around this. And the other one is actually used for getting data.
Hey, sorry
What's up?
to interrupt, but somebody asked in the chat if you can zoom in.
If I can zoom in, I don't. Yeah, sure. That is pretty zoomed in.
Yeah.
Other than that, going back to the notifications here, this to me would kind of require more. What are we trying to do here as far as like, are we just getting the notifications or are we setting notifications? Because this looks like
I
we're
don't know.
sending
but
the user back in.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm also wondering if get notifications is that dependency and we're running that function each time, would that theoretically not run it over and over again? I don't really know.
Well,
No
I
state
think that's
management library
why-
was used. Would admin? Yes, is admin was set via global state, via React query or TanStack query. Sorry. So generally, that's why throughout
And if-
the rest of the application, we were getting it via that.
And again, this might have came through the cracks, right?
Yeah.
And the
No,
typical PR
I was,
would
I
be
was,
like,
yeah, I was answering the question in the chat, and I forgot about this other chat. Whoops, sorry. Okay, no good. New questions, good. IMAX experience for the streamers. Yeah, people don't realize how zoomed this has to be on our screens, and it gets tough.
yeah, I've only got like 10 lines of code I can show at a time.
And my big problem too is I'm super zoomed out normally because I like seeing as much code as possible on my screen, so it gets uncomfortable at times for me. But
One thing I do like here is that we are setting the error here. So if something is happening, we're
Yes.
actually doing something with the error. Kudos to that. I don't know why these squiggly lines are just killing me.
yeah, I don't know why that is. What file is this again? Because I don't think I see any squiggly lines on mine. Let's see here. We are looking at
I
source
just
at messaging.
Pulled it.
Did you install?
No, I did not.
That's why. npm install.
What? Oh, sorry.
Duke, yeah.
Ah.
Ooh.
While this is installing, I do
Yeah.
have some weird things to kind of share. Is that you always want to kind of keep an audit on the npm packages. There are certain situations, and this kind of happened recently, in that we had an npm package that was doing something malicious behind the scenes, and that's kind of something you want to audit every now and then. I know that for most people, they're working on their personal projects, but if you have a project that you're working for a client, something to keep in mind is just doing those on a maybe quarterly basis of just going through packages and making sure that they're all still good by running npm audit. What that looks like is if we do npm audit here, we can see that how many vulnerabilities there are is 3 low and critical, and it tells you what the critical is. And for this one is authorization bypass in Next.js middleware. And it tells you that, hey, if there's a fix available, if you do the audit force, but to let you know, this will install Next 15.3.1. So it's going to install the latest Next changes, which is kind of informing you that, hey, if this might have groundbreaking changes so that you're aware if anything's not working anymore.
Yep. You know why that is, though? That was Next.js's fault. They pushed through something that allowed people to get past the middleware. It was talk of the town online, unfortunately, via social media.
Everybody
And they
was
took
talking about it.
4 weeks to fix it, dude. But anyway, Yeah, but you see our labels there. Our labels are labeling.
Quickly explain why we're using labels again.
So I mean,
Just for everyone's
you can
audience.
control click it and you can go to the label and see. So here you can see.
Just to answer the actual question, you use labels for two purposes. The first being you give people a single source of truth. So if you deliver a product to a client, for example, they don't have to go digging through the code base to update the copy in 5 different areas. They can just update it in one object. And the second is it makes your life 1,000 times easier when you go to internationalize your app.
Yep. Yeah, and the big thing here is like, especially my whole focus of the cohort project wasn't necessarily like, of course I want them to have like a great project to showcase, but my bigger idea was they should have understanding of what you would run into in a corporate environment or an enterprise level organization. And so for me, when you work in a big company, you're going to either be using something in this regard where there's a labels file, or you're going to be using a CMS. Since we weren't going to implement a CMS, I'm like, this is a way that we can kind of give that idea where there's one centralized location where all the labels are. So if somebody from the business wanted to edit that text, they would have that file without having to bother developers in order to make that change. And so I wanted them to get into that habit. And habitually, if you're using a CMS even, you would be following the same level of syntax in regards to labels, et cetera, to get that text to showcase on that page. And so it was a strict standard that I try to maintain across the application. I know that there's probably areas of the app where it still got pushed through with hard-coded text, but I think probably maybe 5 to 4% of the app probably has hard-coded text where probably 95, 96%, it is all via the label.
So what are some of the requirements you asked to get on the on their PRs? Like for you to say, hey, this is a valid PR, or what would you recommend that, hey, they put on there?
Yeah, so for PRs, for example, as you can see here, when a PR is submitted, it's not, especially when you're submitting a PR for somebody to review, we're giving them the things that we solved. We're adding in a screenshot to verify locally that they saw the change that they wanted to see. But it also gives, it should, it doesn't always, but should theoretically give the test use case for someone to recreate that locally. I think that one probably started falling off a good portion of the cohort through, just because developers being developers. But generally speaking, I think for the vast majority, people followed this standard of like, here's a screenshot, here are the items that I adjusted, et cetera, et cetera. So that way someone reviewing it has a little bit more context than just seeing the code itself.
So in this example right here, packages are now grabbing data from the database, colors rendering based on status, icons updated to reflect info from the database, and added format date utility for an easier way to format ISO date. So this is kind of stuff I would be expecting to see in the files changed.
Correct.
And the kind of the screenshot to say,
and if you
hey,
scroll
this
down a little bit,
working.
is there anything after that? Oh, it's just that. Okay. Yeah.
So if we look at that package card here, we can see that we are updating the props here from access code locker number. Last accessed. Okay. Status ready for pickup. I guess what I'm expecting to see is something that grabbing from the database, as explained in the PR. There's a format date that was on the PR, but I'm not seeing anything saying that, hey, we are grabbing from the database.
Well, I think it's more from the status being set, that value is coming from the database itself via the API. So that is probably what they're referencing there. Yeah, that ready for pickup, that value changes in that Prisma database. I mean the Supabase database.
I like that. And there's no state here. It's just reading it when it needs to read it, and it's ready. Got it.
Yep.
Love it.
Exactly, Stratix. Yeah, the data was already in the API. Now it's finally getting used. Yeah, because for a while we, at least for our testing purposes, I don't believe in blind testing. So we would mock and create mock APIs so
Right.
that way they can test locally. Then from there, we would alternate it with actual. And that's where Tatiana came in. Man, she was holding it down. She was the only backend developer on the team. And really just, man, she was running and gunning it, man. So she got stuff done.
Awesome.
Now I know what you're thinking. This looks like code from an enterprise level organization. I know.
I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference, to be honest.
That's what we do, man. I will say though, like, especially given the timeline, people really stepped up to the plate as far as like the stricter coding standards. I was very, very pleased about that.
I was thoroughly impressed by, honestly, the entire cohort.
Yeah, for sure.
Joe, is there anything particular that, hey, you want to talk about as far as like PRs that you were assigned or have given that maybe gave you a little trouble to figure out, but then you were able to solve it, and what PR that number that would be?
Let me see. I know one of the biggest ones that I know it caused multiple kind of people to kind of step in and take a look at was the messages. It was a pretty big one. And I don't know if I necessarily have a particular question that I can think of off the top of my head.
Oh, we could look in those. Doesn't have to be a question. Maybe we could just look at that PR. Around what numbers do you think it might have been?
Ooh,
Oh, man.
PR-wise, I don't know. We had so much back and forth on messages, but part of the problem from messages was we kept moving the goalpost on that. We could have left it the way it was originally.
Right.
So the idea was, as we implemented messaging, I then realized, hey, admin want to be able to message any tenant that is there, whereas a user should only see messages that are relevant to their apartment and the admin talking to them. So that's when we ended up changing it in real time to implement this one-to-one conversation to one-to-many conversations. So that way admin can see messages from everyone. And then we added in another feature later on where it's like, hey, we probably want to be able to label these messages. Move the goalpost again. And then we moved it one more time where we're like, hey, the admin should be able to alter. What were the admin able to alter? We added one more thing near the end. So I think that was probably the most complex part of the messaging because we kept adding stuff onto it just because it's like, and the thing was, I don't think anybody in the world's going to know that besides us unless they really use it. But I think it was just making sure there was a well thought out approach to this. Yeah. Feature creep for sure. I definitely think is a factor here. And I think Stratix is also accurate because, I came into the team halfway through, right? So they were running off of one style of doing something as opposed to what I came in with. So I was trying to like kind of go with their style of doing it before altering it further. And yeah.
I did see something here that was kind of stuck out to me is that they're actually using a dictionary here. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey Dennis,
Based on the
actually,
type. Go ahead.
if I can go back to your question there, I guess there was one piece that I almost independently kind of worked on my own, which was passkey. So I would appreciate any feedback. Maybe if I could get you to pull it up and see what you think on the approach. It wasn't really something that.
Is it a component?
Yeah, it's under the source, or I'm sorry, under app.
I believe it's under messaging. Parking passkey.
Passkey is its own directory under app
Page. Here we go.
So essentially, my main question is the overall approach of how I am creating the individual instances of the passkey and whether or not I approached it in a correct way, or maybe utilizing the I guess, the benefits of Next.js and the directory-based routing. You can see there that there's a ID folder where it's essentially creating a specific instance of the passkey.
Well, it looks like.
And then from there, we're creating
Okay, so
unique
you- instances of that passkey for it, so you can run it to. Gotcha.
Yeah, so whenever we go to an endpoint, and it's going to be a randomly generated endpoint for that passkey. If this is, best practices, if you've seen this before, I guess just any general feedback if I approached it a good way.
So I'm just looking at the code right now.
Yeah.
Um,
And I will also mention as well too, just to kind of be forefront. This is one of the few features that actually doesn't touch the backend API. We just didn't really get enough time to actually hook it up to any actual live data. So it's all hard coded stuff.
and
Huh.
let me guess go back to your question. I know you say that you want to see if this was kind of based on best practices. What stands out to you that would make you question that it's not?
Not to say that it's not, but I know whenever we were thinking about how to create specific instances for anything in general, how do we approach that? So I guess maybe to reiterate my question and focus more so on the use of the Next.js system with the directory routing for that ID or that unique instance of a passkey. Is that typically seen across enterprise level code or applications?
I would say so. I mean, like, are you talking about this router.push right here of figuring out?
Mainly if you actually on the left hand side, what I'm mainly focusing on is right there. Yeah, the use of this structure right there, that ID folder, just that general concept. I know whenever
Yeah.
I was learning Next.js and the framework, that was kind of new to me, to basically use that system. I don't know if that's kind of ubiquitous or just for Next.js, or if this is seen across other frameworks. But
Yeah.
it was kind of recommended or pushed to me to implement the solution in this particular way.
Yeah, the only thing that isn't good on this, and I think somehow I did it, but I don't know how or why I did it. But a use effect with no dependency for set mounting to true. It says that I'm the one that did it though, but I don't know how or why. I don't even remember touching this file to be honest, but it says it's me.
The one thing that stands out to me is the repetition of header and footer for this, in the sense of why aren't we putting this around a layout or using a layout for this?
Yeah, there could have been one.
Other than that, I mean, you sometimes run across situations where you need to dynamically generate a page. In most cases, you would probably just use a template React component and then populate that component based on some data.
Say that again?
I'm not sure why. I mean, to me, I'm trying to figure out why we're using this to generate a dynamic component. And I'm not. Oh wait, no, this is a.
It's
Is this
the
an
action
email?
of if you wanted to email somebody the key.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was so confused with what you were asking. Yeah, no, that's given the ability on this page. Like, you want to email this code or email this information, you could do it via that. Or if you want to go ahead and copy it to a clipboard, you can copy that code as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so instead of using control copy like an average human being We said no. It's a one click. Add it to your clipboard. Copy and paste.
Set copy to true. Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember, he's even got the Stack Overflow keyboard, and it still wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough. Nah, I couldn't do that to my users. The user experience is key here for us.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Joe, I mean, this is, yeah, I would say yes. I've seen this happen before, or used before in real world scenarios where we actually have to have this kind of component, which is just a standalone component, really. But it's used as a template to generate some type of email or some notification that's going to go out to the user, right?
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
No problem. It just took me a minute to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah.
And that is one thing about PRs, I'll tell you right now, is that sometimes, not all the time, that I know exactly what the intention is. And so stumbling around of trying to figure out what the developer is trying to solve is sometimes difficult, and especially if you don't have no context, right? In this case, Danny kind of required that everyone supplement those PRs with information, which is great. And that's something that I've actually started incorporating at work, is that, hey, when you're submitting a PR, you need to put in a screenshot of it working and steps on how you got there, and kind of sub information like of how do I get there if I need to get there, and check it out. And what am I looking for?
Yep. I even go further with my teams at work, where it's like, it's not just one screenshot, it's every breakpoint to ensure you didn't break it on another screen point. So I need a mobile, a tablet, and a desktop screenshot to ensure visually it's all there. I also need a screenshot of network logs to ensure that there's no failing APIs or calls now being made via whatever changes that you made based on that. I'm pretty strict on my stuff. I will say I'm more lenient on the cohort for obvious reasons, but I still feel like we were very, very strict in that regard. Well, let me ask you this. If you can go back to that passkey one thing real fast. You said in that passkey, like, the context definitely helped, right? But you were able to figure out things like, for example, the copying the code or the mailing things. Like, what were things that you saw there that helped you identify that really fast?
Who was that question to?
You.
Me?
Yeah. Like you said that you were able to figure out the code on this a little bit easier. One part of it is like additional context, but as we were reading it, was there anything here that like identified to you like, oh, this thing is doing XYZ?
The mail to link. The mail to
Ooh.
link is something that popped out to me. It's usually what you use to send email, and then you attach a body to it.
Yep.
And then the email body is going to be this right here. So it's coming from some type of code, and it's just going up the chain, and then kind of just seeing it's all breaking out is what I automatically catch on to as soon as I looked at this. And then I'm just like, okay. And then we have individual header and footer. It doesn't make sense to have that there, but then if it's in the context of an email and the one-time component that we're using to send off that email, then that makes sense to put that there. So it's just like context around the component that I'm looking at, and it gives me clues to saying, oh, this might be a component that's just used for sending emails or to make a copy of something.
So basically what we're saying is readable code. Readable variable names and function names and code. No comments.
There you go. No comments. And I think that's what Danny was trying to point out here is that it's not the, coming up here and I'm going to put like a whole structure of this component is for passcode page, and it's okay. Well, great. What does that mean? But being able to look at the code and, I mean, it would be nice that, hey, to have a comment on here so I don't have to go through and read all of it. But it doesn't take much effort. I mean, it took me, 10, 15 minutes to figure out exactly what this was. But a small comment up here of generates a one-time email. I know I misspelled generate, but Janice, you get it.
Yeah, I'm
That way I
very
don't really have to
big.
go through this.
Yeah, no, I'm very big on like readable code. It's like one of my big things. But the other thing too is I was harping on I won't say who, but one individual on my team in particular, because I was like, very readable function names, variable names. This should be a focal point of a lot of the work that you're doing. If somebody reads it, they should pretty much have a big portion of the context to like why something is doing X. And so that moment just kind of solidified like this is why. Like Dennis has no context of our code base. He saw a very quick demo of what the app does, and he's trying to figure things out. But if your code is readable, it's easy for now be like, oh, this is what's happening here, et cetera, et cetera. You don't need, even though documentation is important, but he didn't need to reference an entire 5, 10, 15 page PDF document of what things are happening here, because he can read through the code and understand what's going on. And to be honest,
And
that's like the
helps
dream
you-
of going to any
your future
company.
self.
Yeah.
Right. It helps your future self more than anything.
Like onboarding at a company, like that's a big thing. Like when you're onboarding, you're already nervous because it's a brand new code base, new team, maybe, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, unit test. I will say, I think we have like a couple unit tests at best, but the reality is at this level, there was just so much unknown when it came to unit testing that if we had more weeks, if we had the full 6, we would have more unit tests. I would have drilled that into my whole team. But when I came onto this team, we really only had less than 3 weeks at that point. There was just no way we could build that skill up within that time period to have enough unit tests around. But there are a couple. I built a couple to prove a point, like to say, like, if you wanted to go unit testing, you could do things like this. But even those are yeah. I was just saying when you work at big. Oh yeah, that's my number one go-to area. I go unit test first before I even look at old PRs. I'm a big fan of function documentation like JSDoc, mainly because it helps me remember stuff when I'm importing things.
I love JSDoc.
Yeah.
Surprised I don't have it on here, but yeah, it's usually referencing up here.
/**.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. It's pretty now.
The poor man's
Tells you what it
TypeScript.
returns.
There should be no poor man's TypeScript. TypeScript is free. If anything, TypeScript makes you rich. Oh, then I guess, damn it. I just proved his point. All right, never mind. Cut this out of the live stream. Editor.
No,
There's no editor.
Stridox, it's not really a poor man's TypeScript. It's more of a way to see how something is used. So, for example, I'm looking at, I don't know if there's a way to demo this on the fly, but let me see here if I can just grab one of these components here. Messaging, right? Compose message. So if I look at compose message and I go to the actual compose message and I look for the component, so this one here. So if I hover over this, it just tells me it's a function, right, that accepts a couple of props, but it doesn't really give me more than that. If I put TS or JSDocs on this, it's actually going to say, hey, this is component that does XYZ. It composes an email for you or composes a message and allows you to add more of a description for it.
Yeah. Good JSDocs comments help me see high-level implementation details without having to necessarily read through the code, especially useful for utilities. 100%.
Trying to see if I can compose message params. Okay, so if I save that, now I'll slip back over to messaging. Wonder if I have to. I don't have to install anything else, do I?
I would imagine you would. I don't necessarily know why that would work just off of a save.
It's magic. It might just be the formatting of it. There's a certain
Yeah,
way you
your
have to
syntax
format
is
it.
messed
Yeah.
up. You have double slashes again.
Dang it. There it is. Are the double slashes you didn't need it? No, they're not.
Nope.
But those
There we go.
double slashes on those lines shouldn't affect it.
There we go. See, there it is. So
Yeah.
now we have a more description there. Compose messages, component for sending messages. And obviously, this is a bad comment or
Yeah, it's
but
just
you get the
to
point
show.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's all
thought
I
you had
wanted
to
to
have a extension installed to see this. I didn't think it came out of the box like that.
It's magic.
Yeah.
But like Danny was saying earlier, if a team is doing this on a consistent basis, and especially on reusable components that are used throughout the whole system, if we document it in this way, this is a great way for a new developer to say, "Oh, okay, I see what's needed here." And you could even put descriptions on like the parameters callback function to handle the sent message, and what parameters it takes and whatnot. So it allows you to go pretty in depth.
I'll go even one step further and say if you have, decent JS doc comments on all of your, functions and whatnot, there are a lot of tools that can use that to automatically generate documentation for your entire project.
Yes, there is.
Again, as
I actually did that not too long ago. That's pretty cool.
overview of what the app is about. And this takes us to our dashboard here. We have a header at the top with
Is
some
there
features.
anything else that
Yeah, I got
Danny,
Dennis, if you wouldn't mind, I got something I'd like to get your eyes.
Sure.
The dashboard page.
Where's that going to be at?
Under dashboard and then page.
I would like the court to take note that I was not a fan of the way we laid out our files and directories in this.
I think it's a Next.js type of structure you have to have in order for the system to understand what is a page and what is a route. And
yeah, it has to be. You have to have the main page, unfortunately. But I will say, it's alphabetical, so just scroll through the alphabet.
I don't know my alphabets. I'm lost there. What is something that you wanted me to look here in particular, or is it just the whole thing?
One thing that stood out to me in this file when I was looking at it was there are multiple components in this file.
I see. I'm scrolling down, and there's about, geez Louise, 486 lines of code, which I don't think they're all relevant to this. I mean, like when I say relevant, I mean that you're saying that there are multiple components within this file that could actually be broken down. If you have components that are specifically used for this page, you can create components under this structure right here that will work for the page. And that would probably be the best thing to do for this. So that way everything is also readable. You don't have to scroll all the way down. You don't have to scroll around. You don't have to find something. It's there. The page is going to be rendered on the screen and you can read it, like it should be. Like this is dashboard buttons. I know expecting the dashboard buttons to be there. And if I wanted to know what dashboard buttons was in there, I can just go to the file and figure out how it works. But now I'm having to bounce around. What was the main component here? What is the children components?
So if you scroll to the top where all the way up to where the component actually begins on, what line is it? Oh, right there, dashboard 51. And if you zip that up.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah. To me, that's I don't like that. And that
What can
and
I?
here are the reasons. I can give you a list
Go
of
ahead, go
reasons
ahead.
why I don't like it. A is you're mixing thoughts, right? You're putting a bunch of components within components. Typically, you want in most cases, you want a component to be something that you can instantiate or it's immutable, and you say, hey, these are something that parameters that it's taking in, and I expect a component to come back out, and this is what I expect it to show. You don't want what is the word I'm looking for? You don't want outside environments affecting the code essentially. And that really goes down to, creating functional components. In this case, if we just look at edit profile button here, we can see that it's taking a parameter of user. And then I bet you if there might be a user element out or variable out here somewhere. There it is. See, so now it's confusion, right? Because like, am I talking about this user or am I talking about the user that's in the component right here, edit button? And to the untrained eye, you might, well, yeah, what if you want the user on the outside, right? So that to me, and there's no reason for this to be in here really. It should be outside of it. I don't see anything in here that's.
I agree. But you know what I am mad about? The edit profile is written in hard-coded text. And that could have been a label. And the fact that we aren't using a label is absolutely terrible. On line 202, yeah.
That one
Who
there.
wrote that line of code? Joe. Oh man, I almost got the belt.
So I guess the reason I was bringing this up was I don't think declaring components inside of other components is what you want to do, because like it's one thing to have multiple components in one file, which that can get out of control, I guess. But if they're declared separately and not nested, it's like an optimization thing, right? If we have a dashboard page, every time the page is renders, all its child components re-render. But if the child components are also declared inside, they're redeclared each time.
Yeah, to your point, trying to hold on here. I'm trying to figure out how to. Oh, there we go. Collapse everything. So I collapsed everything, and now it kind of just shows me everything that's there. And to your point, if anything renders in the render dashboard right here, for whatever reason, let's say we had a text box in the tenant dashboard or in the admin dashboard, if any one of these components render, the whole tree structure will re-render. And that is suboptimal, right? We want it to be able to say, hey, if admin dashboard renders, we want any of the children to re-render, but we don't want the whole dashboard to re-render. And at this point, if any of the children render like dashboard buttons, if this re-renders, then the whole tree structure will re-render. And that's something that we don't want. And that would be one of the benefits that we would say, hey, we're moving these off into their own components. And let's say that you had a text box in the address button here, and it did some type of text input. At least this component would be the only thing that re-rendered. As opposed to now, the whole tree structure would re-render. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I just
Well, what I think would be cool to review while we have it is a couple of the APIs and backend logic, because quite a bit went on there. And I know we have Tatiana in the audience, and I think there's deserves some justification there. So if you do, this is VS Code, right? Yeah, do Control P, and then it's like pages/API/noise. So this is the one-click noise complaint notification one. and she built all of this herself, man. This is some good stuff here. She also led. I mean, the whole team kind of helped with the ERD and the schema, but she spearheaded and she owned that whole portion for sure. And she made all of our ad hoc, spur of the moment adjustments with everything. So I wanted to kind of get that going in there.
There's a hot debate on the
Mhm.
internet right now of early returns. I love them. I'm sorry, but I love early
Yeah.
returns, and this whole structure right there is amazing. And it says, hey, if there's missing fields on there, let's just exit instead of just reading, like going through this whole code and doing other crap we don't need to be doing.
Yeah, it's so funny. Number one, I feel like part of the debate is just folks are bored because it makes no sense for this even to be like a tweetable thing. Like you want to do early return, cool. But I'm also a fan of early returns mainly because if we're able to early return out of it, we don't necessarily need to execute every single item after it. I think it just makes more sense to me. But early exits or early breaks. But
What exactly are the arguments against it?
A lot of people are, I guess Danny says, they're kind of bored, and so they just say that, hey,
nitpick.
To me, this is unreadable, and I don't know if it's gonna have to exit that condition or not. And then
This.
I don't know.
Yeah, Stratix is
Honestly.
basically saying exactly what I'm thinking. But I know when you come to Twitter, they're like, do you really need to save the CPU cycles? Is it that big a deal? It's like, depending on scale, yeah. Like at AutoZone, we were doing millions of transactions a day. Why wouldn't we want to save that across 1 million transactions? When you only have 10 users, maybe it's a different conversation at that point. But if you actually have users that are paying and you're doing it at scale, stuff like that is a very, very big deal.
And this was a good example right here. I mean, hey, if we're not an admin user, then why are we going to send a request, right? Like stop all execution and just continue on
Literally.
with the result. But here, is there something particular you wanted to look at here? I mean, there is.
I think she's just, number one, you're already giving good feedback anyway with the early returns. But I think she's, even though I've praised, but maybe she wants a second set of opinions on what could be improved upon if it needs to be improved upon or ways to increase that skill set. To me, I feel like this is a good API. I don't know what I would adjust on this given the requirements of what that was.
For starters, this is great. This is beautiful. In an enterprise level application, you could like identify some of the things that could be going wrong, where some of these queries right here can be offloaded into a segregated somewhere, right? Where you can just pull like, hey, does this user exist? And let that handle the logic of figuring out what a user is, and if it doesn't, let that happen there. But that's just extraction that for something small as this application is really not warranted. But for me, I like this. This is good code here. Like the early return. I can't start praising the early returns here.
Well, we also have. I'm trying to think which one's a good one. Oh wait, didn't Tatiana do the garage? Yeah, I think a good one here too would be like. Was this really a lot to review? Not really. I guess we could do if you want to go to the parking one in the API folder underneath and go to index.ts. It's how we're doing like the whole parking pass logic. Written in C#? No. No .NET was used in this project. It was a MERN stack project, which I'll be honest was a rough go for me because man, I had not done any project in MERN. I come from a Java background. Man, it was like some things were in my head that I'm trying to translate over, and just figuring it out was such a pain in the ass. How could this have been better? Oh, ew.
So this one has a couple get post.
The result of find user should have been named found user. See, Tatiana only leaving tenses to complain about. Wow. If that's not a compliment, I don't know what is at that point.
I don't know enough of Next.js to say this is right or wrong. It could be right, but I don't know. Being able to use a switch statement, to me, I feel like the way I've done it, at least for the Dallas software developers page, I separated the get and the post, and there were their own handlers for those.
Yeah, I could see
I
either
th-
one. I think a switch makes sense here, though. But I totally see that side as well. Often do like separating my logic, but a switch case here, since there's only going to be one type of request.
But then you come to this weird situation where you have to deliver a 405 when the method's not a. Actually, that method doesn't exist. Would it be a 405 or would it be that method doesn't exist? What is that? A 404?
No method. No 404 would be not found. This is versus not. It's not that it doesn't exist. It's not allowed. So any other method besides that would not be allowed.
Okay. It's kind of ambiguous, though, isn't it? Is it because does it exist, or just I don't have access to it, or I can't run it? I'm not allowed to run it.
Let's look at the MDM docs to see. So MDM docs specifically says on 405, 405 would be a method not allowed one. It's a client error response code, and the server must generate an allow header in 405 with a list of methods that the target resource currently supports. So it would respond with the
Okay.
405 saying that you're only allowed to use get or post, not anything else
it does.
besides that. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Something I learned.
Damn it, Tatiana got us actually reading docs over here.
So that would be a case for 404. That user was not found. Again, it's just more, enterprise level would be
Graham?
just, having your business logic separated from the controller. I'm not sorry, controller is C#. From the what is this called? the method, the code that handles the response of API return results. Most of the time, you don't want to put business logic within that, and it should just be as simple as like a get or a post right here would just say, "Hey, here's the data
Yeah.
coming in," and then right here would be, I'm just put in pseudocode here, set new user, and then you would pass in the requirements there, and then this function would go off and do whatever it needs to do.
Yeah,
Again, that's just like enterprise level there. To me, just, like I said, this is very simple application. Just putting it all in here is fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm a big fan of separation, or at least having it separated from the basic cases, so that way you can just have it run and make alterations based on in like a different part of the file or application. Similar in that regard. I don't actually know if that is a common practice or if it is uncommon within the world of Node. I don't have the answer to that. Nest.js does
Well-
that separation by default. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's something to think about
We
because
could have
right,
used Nest
you
and
want to
have separation, but
you
the
wanna be able
purpose of this
to,
app, we wanted to make it as simple as possible. Yeah, I mean, I think we're
Yes,
talking more
trade-offs.
abstract for like if this was an enterprise company, number one, but number two,
Right.
and it's just I don't actually know what Node or like MERN stack applications do. And this isn't even MERN, so I don't know why I'm saying MERN. But like the traditional one, does it do that separation generally if it's not using Nest? I don't know. I don't actually know the answers to that.
Well, if you think about it, you might want to do some unit testing around some of the actionable items of being able to find a user. Does the user exist? And you want to have some code that says that, hey, this user exists, yes or no. And then you might want to hook up a fake database, right? And not just use Prisma, but use some mock database, and then be able to pipe in to see if that user exists. And if they do, then you handle that. You want to be able to say it should show a user not found 404 message. And if that returns true, then your unit test passed. And so by encapsulating that logic into that business logic into a different file, then you can actually do that and run unit tests against that file. And to Stradoc's point, well, yes, you're right. It is a service you would create.
Yeah. Okay. So even here, you would theoretically break off these things into services. So like theoretically, if we wanted to take this to the next level, I actually just Googled this to see if this was possible. We could do like a services folder and do like /parkingpass.ts. And in there we could have like where we would export async functions of like list parking passes and stuff like that. So we could have all
Yes.
that there. I didn't know that was a thing that they did in Node. And so it's pretty cool.
Well, I don't think it's really language specific. It's
Yeah, it's
more-
habit, but I didn't know what like was normal here. Does Prisma allow you to set a mock override, or would you need a refactor to swap out find user for a mock and unit test here?
That's a good question.
Here, I'll
But
do,
if,
Graham, I'm gonna do you a favor real fast. I just copied it and I'm pasting it into ChatGPT for you. Hold on, give me a second. Fucking no, it's fine. I just left my kid's birthday party. I don't know nothing right now.
I left it to be here with y'all.
Literally, Prisma client itself doesn't expose any built-in overrides or mocking APIs. You'll need to lean on one of two approaches: mocking the generated client at the module level, or abstract your data access behind a service or repository.
And if we put this into some service class here to say, probably what would be here, we would say function user class, and then we would say find user, or does user exist. So in this case, we would say, get user, and then, oh my gosh, get user. Stupid thing.
You got Copilot?
Yeah.
I hate it,
It is
dude. I hate
just-
Copilot so much.
User escape. There it goes. And then you would put the function in here of how to get the user, allowing you to possibly, you can even use this as an interface, right? And then pipe in an interface and use the interface instead, and then swap out the interface when you run unit test, and just put like hard-coded values within the get user so you can test that out. Just things to think about of how you would tackle that. Yeah, I never used Prisma either.
All right, let's see. Yeah. Well, I think this was good. And you want to see an interesting one that follows almost no real conventions, but the goal was, can we just get this thing to work? I will tell you. If you will do Control P and you'll do generate and send in route.ts. Yes. This right here, let me give context first. This
All right.
generates and sends. I'm done.
Where can I find it?
You're there. So the idea is this is generating and sending of the lease. And so with our third-party tool, we are actually generating that lease locally and then sending it off. So we're filling in the fields that we want in that PDF document to Documento before it's sent. And we even have regex for the win.
I'm sorry. Did you say you were proud of this code or you were not?
Honestly, I don't know if pride is a thing with this code format as much as is this was the biggest nightmare in the world to develop and deliver, and we actually got it going. And we then became nervous about changing it with the deadline so close, so we left it the way it was. Yeah, once we got it working once, we're like, oh man, I don't know if we're gonna get it again if we refactor. So we kind of left it exactly the way it was, in order to send these things off. If we had more time, that would be a completely different thing, though.
Bunch of hard-coded URLs in here.
Well, I mean, wait, what's specifically hard-coded besides the beginning part? That part, yeah. That could have been an environment variable if we needed to.
This one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that could have been a const. Who wrote that? Cass, yeah. Get blame and get lens.
What is it? Documento?
Yeah, so it's like DocuSign, but it's that service.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to get it working. Actually, and this is the truth. The only reason why we went with this was another team was having problems with theirs, so much so that like someone was coding almost 40 hours straight trying to solve it. And I was like, this is crazy. Let me jump on a call. And it took me an hour to kind of like knock out their solution. And I was like, well, I've already gone through the documents. I've already figured, all their docs. I kind of figured out how this tool works. Do we want to go through the whole idea of like using DocuSign at this point, or should we just use this since we've done that hard work? And so that was the path that we went down.
So I mean, this takes the idea of being able to take functions and export them out, right? So I'm sure this is somewhere in here.
I will say though, the documentation nightmare. There needs to be so much more in there. Yeah, but I don't know if it's as much as there. Love this comment. I love how I can understand this code and not understand it at the same time. Same. That's life. That's on the stream. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure they're always feeling included as we go through this.
Is there something we wanted to look at on this, or just kind of just in general?
Whatever you want to look at. I mean, it's all there. Like we're drawing text on there via page.drawText. So that's how we're like generating every line on that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then, to be honest, this took way longer to figure out than I even care to recall. We went through a path where we were trying to add text, and then it was just going off the page. It was going into the next page. It was just over and over and over again. So pretty happy with the way that went. And then, of course, figuring out PDF bytes, the way that to use it. I mean, PDF doc.save. That was a whole third-party tool. But yeah, mainly because so personally, anytime I've ever done something like this, it was for internal tooling. So we would have some kind of library that we've already made or something that you tie everything to. This is the first time I've ever tried to implement this without having something already that existed. And that was like a whole headache. Greetings. Greetings, April. Da-da-da-da-da.
All right. Well, we are a little over. That's fine. Been
More
good,
than a little
conversation
over.
here.
It seems like every time we do this now, it's from 1 hour to 2. But
It's going- it is what it is. But I hope everyone got to get value out of this.
yeah, I felt like this was a good project to spend extra time on as far as like some of the things that we were able to implement. I felt like there was like a lot of good areas on this one. So if somebody's like a newer developer, I think there's a lot that they could pick up on and what's it called? Follow and learn. Well, we haven't hit 2 hours yet, so wow, Stratix.
Wait, how long ago did you join? 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. No, he's been here since the beginning.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there you go.
Stratix is like one of our really strong community members, man. He puts in a lot, not just new devs. I got value from the 20 minutes I was here too. Hey. Yeah, of all the projects, I felt like this is one I'm really proud of. Like, I'm just going to throw this out there. We could always see how long the event can go before Discord. You can. Now, if you want to start driving, you missed a lot. Well, for those in the Discord, this was streamed to my YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and Twitter, so you can review it there if you need to. For those online, quite a few online. So thanks for hanging out with us especially if you've been here for a while. It is on the YouTube channel as well, D Thompson Dev on all social media and YouTube. But it's being streamed there, so that way you can review the VOD if you need to kind of go back, et cetera, et cetera. Danny isn't biased at all with this project. I mean, I'll be honest. I feel like I've been underselling it. You have no idea how high I would love to push it to. But I'm really, really proud of what we were like the standards on this one. For those asking, what is this stream about? Every week, as of right now, they've been Saturdays, but I'm gonna be real. We're gonna have to change the day of the week on this one. Saturday is just too hard for like the long term, and I think it's not just for us. I think a good portion of the community, it's just too difficult at this time to do it. So we're gonna have to find like an hour that we can dedicate during the week to see what we can make happen. I just don't know what that hour looks like yet. But the idea of the stream is every week we try to review at least one project, going through the code, going through the PR reviews, et cetera, treating it almost like a code review where we're reviewing the code, we're seeing things that we're mentioning things that can be improved, et cetera, not with the idea of demonizing or putting somebody down, but with the ultimate idea of helping them raise their skill sets after this. But of course, people that are in the audience, in the Discord or online, it's definitely a great way for you to also learn things in the process. To be honest, we also start researching, and I learned some new things today as well, especially status 405. I've not used that ever. So that was something brand new today. Also learning that the separation of logic in APIs via Node and what that standard looks like. Learned something new, but mainly because the only time I ever used Node was this project and currently what I'm doing for Event Convo. So I can watch this on YouTube. Yes, it is currently still being live streamed right now as we speak on YouTube. I haven't stopped the stream yet, but the YouTube live stream alone is like 1 hour and 43 minutes. Yeah, even though I only caught bits since I was debugging while listening, I still found it useful. And I watched the VODs later. That's what it's all about. Like, can you pick up something useful just from some people geeking out together for a little bit? So that's kind of the whole idea around this right now. And the ultimate idea too is for us to get, I'll be honest, I think we're probably all spending more time on this because they were cohort projects. And so like we're trying to like, honor that cohort. But I have a feeling when we get to the point where it's just projects that have no ties to the Discord in some sense, or like from like an educational standpoint, we can be a little bit stricter on the actual review itself and more than likely be able to do more than 1 or 2 projects in that 1 hour session. Especially if we're just like reviewing PRs like we're normally supposed to be doing. I see people typing. Do you have GitHub? If you scroll up in the chat, you'll find the link to the project that we just reviewed. It's my It's on my GitHub, but it's open source, so anybody can see the code, review it, etc., etc. And that's assuming that's what you meant with that. Yeah, somebody else had D Thompson Dev, which actually bothered me.
I'm sorry, I took it.
No, it's some person. I don't even think they use it, at least from what I recall. But I don't. Let me look. GitHub.com/D Thompson Dev. Yeah, they don't even use it. They have no contributions. They have 2 contributions over the course of 3 years. One in 2023, one in 2024. Yeah, I had to add the word "the," which is so. Ugh. And there's no info here for me to even like reach out to them and be like, "Hey, can you change the name, please, por favor?" This is the only site in all of the world or all of the platforms that people use that D Thompson Dev is not my name. Every other platform is D Thompson Dev everywhere. All right. As I always like to end these, it's been real, it's been fun, and we will see you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody. It's
Yeah.
네.
been fun, though.
Bye.